One of Greenville, South Carolina's most famous sons, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, is said to have stated that a dedicated minority is a majority. As we approach the 2024 presidential campaign, we are presented with two candidates. One very defined, and one not at all defined. The surprising event that historians will look back on in this campaign is that the Democratic Party is running Donald Trump's campaign. They are defining him, and they are making sure that by the election, the people behind Donald Trump will stay, because they are defining Donald Trump more than perhaps any presidential candidate has ever been defined. On the other hand, President Joe Biden is totally undefined. And that's not a mark of his personality or any platform he stands on. It's just the fact that he has a year left in office. And that's a long time. Supposedly, an eminent historian of the last generation said that history only has time for one sentence for each president. 100 years from now, looking back at President Joe Biden, historians may very well say that his sentence in history was that he fought the war in Ukraine. The White House is well aware of that, and they seem to be all right with that possibility, but they really want the sentence to be that Joe Biden won the war in Ukraine. For the past few weeks, the administration has been thinking along the lines that, quite frankly, I have been thinking for the past few months. And that's why they opened a new front in the Middle East. There was a peace conference in Saudi Arabia, which was the most curious peace conference ever, since Russia was not invited. And because Russia was not invited, I'm going to speculate this was actually a conference, whether directly or indirectly, about testing the waters for potential action against Iran. Now, at the same time, over the past few weeks, Iran released several Americans held in Iran. Coincidentally, the U.S. released $6 billion of frozen Iranian assets held in the United States. Now, this is very important since, as I mentioned last week, Iranian arms are key to the current stalemate in Ukraine. May I suggest that we are looking at a carrot and stick approach to Iran. The Iranians are more than aware that this administration probably would prefer to work with Tehran. Both John Kerry and Joe Biden were part of the administration that inked the Iranian nuclear deal. But the mullahs in Tehran have bolted the door shut to that. And when I say bolted, I mean like, they got a drill and drove bolts into the door. between their repression of the protesters and their supply of arms to Russia, they have really blocked any negotiations with the United States. The stick the Biden administration is presenting was the Saudi peace conference. The United States is making it very clear to Iran that we can make their life very unpleasant. And I'm not talking about a war. Iran is spread very thinly right now. They were already involved in a lot of ventures, and the war in Russia probably may be the bridge too far. The United States can act against Iran in the Persian Gulf. The tanker war during the Iran-Iraq War is the perfect example when we flagged tankers and escorted them with frigates, and we can do that again. Moving clockwise, let's stop in Saudi Arabia, and we'll note that Iran is very highly invested in Yemen, and so are the Saudis. The war in Yemen would be a great place to send some of the weapons that are not having quite the effect we desire in Ukraine. The Saudis would use them very effectively in Yemen. Continuing clockwise to Israel and Lebanon. The Israelis and Lebanese have exchanged a few bellicose statements recently, and Iran is invested nowhere more than in Lebanon. The Israelis would not have to fire a shot to make life miserable for Iran in Lebanon. There are plenty of anti-Iranian factions that would be more than happy to do the job for the Israelis. Continuing, we find the Iranian presence in Syria. And here the Iranians face three possible troublemakers. Obviously, the U.S. still has a presence in Syria. Maybe not permanent, but they're there. Then there is Turkey, who sees Iran as a regional rival. And finally, there are the Kurds. And it is worth noting that the young woman whose death in police custody in Iran sparked the riots was Kurdish. There is no love lost between the Iranians and the Kurds. Then let's move on to Iraq. The United States was in Iraq for about 2 decades. We know people there. We have connections. As we saw in the killing of the Iranian general. So we can make life miserable for Iran in Iraq. There are plenty of anti-Iranian Iraqi factions that would appreciate American assistance. And finally, last but not least, Afghanistan is a front in the war against Iran. The Taliban and the Iranians recently exchanged actual shots along their border. And the Taliban said some very belligerent things. The Taliban are in possession of a sizable quantity of American-made hardware. And it would not take many truckloads of spare parts delivered through any number of channels to get some of that hardware on the border with Iran. But whatever path is taken, there is a price to be paid. And that's why I opened with Jesse Jackson's quote. The core of the support that Joe Biden is depending on is the American political left. And the American political left feels disillusioned and betrayed. 3 years ago, the Biden administration entered office with both promises and some very high hopes. But as we look around us now, those hopes, gun control, defending reproductive rights, prosecuting Donald Trump, and climate change issues have been held up, quite frankly, by 2 Democratic senators. The new Green Deal doesn't look so green. They feel betrayed over, in their view, the administration abandoning women in Afghanistan. By abandoning, I don't mean leaving there. I mean the American left were very clear that they believed that we could change Afghanistan. And the withdrawal dashed those hopes. So they, quite frankly, felt betrayed. They feel very betrayed over the shipment of cluster bombs to Ukraine, that they consider cluster bombs to be terrible weapons, basically along the lines of nuclear, biological, and chemical. And they lost Roe versus Wade, which is that is a major blow to the left. They turn on NPR, CNN, and MSNBC, and the headlines are horrible. They hear about gun violence. This is the hottest summer ever. Elon Musk took over Twitter. Donald Trump is still standing. Basically, the American left is not having a good year. And the question that the Biden administration faces as they look at this new strategy is,
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight last gleaming, whose stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? midst of the deep, where the folk of the host in dread silence reposes. What is that which the breeze o'er the towering steep, as it fitfully blows, hath concealed half a distance?